Hello, I'm Stéphane Devim. I'm from University of Picardie Jules Verne. I will now talk about self-stabilizing synchronous unison in directed networks. This is a joint work with Karin Altizen from University of Grenoble-Alpes and Alain Cournier and my master student Geoffrey Defac, which are from University of Picardie Jules Verne as well. Our starting point is the unison algorithm proposed by Aurora and others. This algorithm supposes an anonymous network which is both bidirectional and connected. The algorithm supposes a synchronous locally shared memory model, which means that at each step, each process first read its local state and that of its neighbor, and then update its local state accordingly. In the algorithm, every node maintains a single variable, which is called the clock, and the clock takes value in the domain 0k-1, where k is a constant input common to all processes. And the algorithm simply consists in applying the following rule at each step. So at each step, the clock value of a process is updated by computing first the minimum value among the node and its neighbor, then incremented this minimum value, and finally compute the modulus k. So if we start in a configuration where every clocks are initialized to 0, then at the next step, the minimum value in the neighborhood of every process is 0, plus 1 modulus k equal 1. And so on and so forth. And eventually, the system reaches a configuration where all nodes have clock value k minus 1, and at the next step, k minus 1 plus 1 modulo k equals 0. So we look back to the initial configuration. Let's consider a more tricky situation where each node has an arbitrary initial value. And let's assume that k equals 9. So in this example, for example, the node with the value 0, if you look at the minimum value between its state and that of its neighbor, the minimum is 0, of course, and so its next value will be 1. This is the same for this node, because the minimum value among its value and that of its neighbor is 0. So let's see one step. Remember that all nodes will execute the rule during the step, since the system is assumed to be synchronous. So let's see another step, and what we can see is that there is a kind of convergence phenomenon that appear, and after a couple of more steps, the system reach a configuration where all clocks are synchronized. This property is called self-stabilization and has been introduced by Dijkstra. Actually, what Aurora and others show is that if k is greater than or equal to the maximum value between 2 and 2 times the network diameter minus 1, then the algorithm is self-stabilizing in the sense that starting from an arbitrary initial configuration, the system recovers a correct behavior within finite time. By correct behavior, here we mean that the clocks are synchronized and regularly increments. They also compute the worst case of the convergence time, which is called the stabilization time, and this worst case is 3 times the diameter minus 2 rounds. Why considering self-stabilization? Self-stabilization is a general approach for tolerating transient faults. What are transient faults? The transient faults are faults that last a finite time, so we can look at the system after the end of the faults, and the effect of those faults is to perturbate the configuration of the network. So after transient faults, we have the configuration of the system is arbitrary. Now, the second property of transient faults is that their frequency is very low. So we have many times to try to make the system recover a correct behavior. And this is actually what is done by a self-stabilizing algorithm. So, of course, the goal of an algorithmic designer is to try to propose solutions with the smallest possible stabilization time. Our goal in this paper is simply to study and analyze the algorithm of Aurora and others in directed network instead of undirected ones. So by directed network, we mean that in the topology, edges are replaced by arrows, and the arrows represent the predecessor relationship. So, for example, if we have an arrow from P to Q, this means that node P is the predecessor of node Q, and the model says that a process can only read its state and that of its predecessor. So, for example, if I consider this node here, it can read its own state and the state of its predecessor here. You can also remark that two nodes can be predecessor of each other. So, for example, this node can read its state and that of its predecessor here, and this node can read its state and the state of this process and the state of this process. We had to slightly modify the algorithm just by replacing the set of nodes of neighbors, by the set of predecessor. Why should we consider directed networks? Just because in real life we have networks that are directed. For example, wireless sensor networks. Now, the problem is that the self-stabilizing literature mainly focus on undirected networks. Actually, we have a couple of papers that deals with unidirectional rings, so very particular topologies, and also we have papers that deal with strongly connected network, but those papers consider static problems only. That is to say, problems that consist in computing a global structure of the network, such as, for example, a Swann tree. Now, Unison is a dynamic algorithm. Once the algorithm is stabilized, the configuration continuously changes by incrementing the clock. It is also a very simple problem, actually. And so, it's a basic building block that is used in many more complex algorithms, just because it allows to synchronize nodes. So it's a classical benchmark in the self-stabilizing area. The first problem we have to face is very simple. Just look at this very simple directed network and assume that the period k is very large. What happens is the top node here has no predecessor, so applying the algorithm, it will increment modulus k at each step. This node in the middle will increment its log by considering the minimum value between the top node and its value and the bottom node. Finally, the bottom node will compute its minimum between its value and the middle node. So after one step, what happened is the following. After two steps, we have this configuration. And from this point, we can see that you can remark that the clocks will increment by one at each step, while no clock reset to 0. So we will eventually reach this configuration. And in this configuration, the next value of the top node will be 0. The next value of the middle and the bottom node will be k minus 1. And so we look back to the initial configuration. So we can repeat infinitely often this pattern. And so we have an execution where clocks are never synchronized. So this means that the algorithm does not stabilize in this very simple topology, despite the fact that k is very, very large. Can take any big value for k, it will not work. So this means that the assumption on k is not sufficient. So the contribution of this paper is, in this kind of system, we look for a tight condition under which the algorithm of Aurora and others stabilized. Of course, these conditions are about K and the network topology. We also prove tight bounds on the stabilization time. First, we start with a general necessary condition. By general, we mean it's a condition that must be fulfilled by every self-stabilizing unison algorithm in the networks. And the condition says that an algorithm can stabilize only if the network is a unique source component D-graph. What is a unique source component D-graph? To define this, we need to consider the strongly connected component of the graphs, here in green, and the quotient graph. The quotient graph is a graph where each node represents a strongly connected component, and you have an arrow between two nodes in the quotient graph if there is at least one node in the first strongly connected component that has a successor in the other strongly connected component. Okay, and by definition, a quotient graph is a DAG, a directed acyclic graph. So we can define a notion of 8. For example, here we have a quotient graph that whose 8 is 2. And so a unique source component D graph is a graph such that its associated quotient graph has only one source node. That is to say, one node that has no predecessor. In this case, this means that there is a strongly connected component in the initial graph where the predecessors of all nodes inside the component are also inside the component. It cannot be outside. So to show that it's a necessary condition, we assume by the contradiction that we have an algorithm that's stabilized in a topology that is not a unique source component graph. So this means that there is at least two source components. If there is such an algorithm, this means that at least one configuration, from at least one configuration, the system behaves correctly. So this means that in this configuration, which is called legitimate, in particular, all nodes have the same clock value, here alpha. Also, as from this configuration, the system behaves correctly, in every reached configuration, all nodes will have the same value, and from time to time, clocks will increment modulo k, as in this example. Now we have some properties. Let's build this configuration where the nodes in this strongly connected component, this source strongly connected component, have the same state as in the strongly connected component here of the first configuration. And everywhere else, the values are arbitrary. Then, if we consider a single step from this configuration, we reach this kind of configuration, and the property we get is that we are sure that the state of the nodes here are the same as the state of the nodes here. Why? Because it's a source component, the local view of the nodes in this configuration, in this strongly connected component, is the same that this node in this configuration. So with the same local view, they compute the same local state. Of course, it is the same if we consider the other source component. And then we can mix those two configurations together. And so if we start from this configuration, we obtain this configuration. So what we mean is that we start with a kind of shift where the nodes here are somehow one step ahead from the nodes here. And starting from such a configuration, this shift is conserved in the next configuration, which means that it's invariant. Then, if it's invariant, if we consider the execution that starts from this configuration, we obtain this. And so each time clocks increment in this configuration, and we know that it will appear because it appears here. Then, if we look when in the blue component here, not increment, then in the red one here, they keep the previous value. And so this means that each time they increment on the right, they do not increment on the left. And so regularly, clocks are desynchronized in this execution. So we have construct a possible execution where clocks are never always synchronized. And so this means that the algorithm that were initially supposed to be self-stabilizing is not self-stabilizing, and we get a contradiction. Unfortunately, this general condition is not sufficient for our algorithm. So we find a very tight condition, which is the following. If k is greater than or equal to this value, and I will explain this value in the next slide, then the algorithm of Aurora and others stabilize if and only if the network is a particular kind of unique source digraph, which we call dense unique source digraph. What is a dense source unique source digraph? It's a unique source digraph, so there is only one source component. And moreover, if we look at strongly connected components that are not source, for example, this one, every node in the component have at least one predecessor in a component that is upper in the quotient graph we defined previously. So, for example, here we have a dense unique source digraph, and here it's not because, for example, this process has no predecessor in upper strongly connected component. And the value of the bound depend on DSCC, which is actually the maximum diameter of the strongly connected component of the network. So, for example, in the present case, the value of DSCC is 2. Let's see an overview of the stabilization proof. So, first, as we assume this value here, then somehow we obtain the value of k, the condition of key on key is very similar to the one in unidirected networks. Now, strongly connected networks behave almost exactly as in undirected networks. So we just had to slightly adapt the proofs of Aurora and HAL to our context to show that at least the nodes inside the source component eventually synchronized, because in this component they act as in a strongly connected network because they cannot see the states of the other nodes. Then, once the source component is stabilized, every k step, the clock will reset. And after this reset, if we consider the next step, we can see that thanks to the property of the dense unique source graph, the synchronization progress one height more to the bottom. Okay, so this means that eventually the nodes are synchronized, and the maximal time to reach synchronized configuration is k times the height of the quotient graph. So we also obtain a stabilization time. And this property is tight because if we consider a period k that satisfied the condition on k, then if the network is not a dense unique source digraph, then we are able to construct a counter example. Then we have studied the tightness of the condition on k. So we do the reverse. We consider graphs that are dense unique source digraphs. And we assume that k is smaller than the bound. And of course, k is greater than 1. And for all the cases, we have counterexample. So for example, for k equal 2, we consider bidirectional lines. For k equal 3, consider unidirectional rings. And for other value, we consider spoon graphs that looks like this. So a spoon graph is a bidirectional line followed by a unidirectional ring of size 3. All these three classes of network are strongly connected, and strongly connected networks are, by definition, also dense unique source digraph. Let's just see an example for the spoon graph. If we assume k equal 5, we have infinitely many spoon graph where we have counterexample. Here is the smallest spoon graph where we have a counterexample. So our construction allows to define an initial configuration. Here, 0 followed by only value 2. And you can see that after a couple of steps, we look back to the initial configuration, and so we have a counterexample. We have also shown that our bound on the stabilization time is tight, because in many dense unique source graph, this bound is asymptotically reachable. To conclude, we have proposed an analysis that is tight both in terms of correctness and complexity. And in particular, we get a very general condition on the network topology. Indeed, if the algorithm works in dense unique source digraphs, and this class includes all strongly connected networks, for example, and of course, all strongly connected networks contain symmetric digraphs, which are equivalent to unidirected, undirected graphs. So this means that we are largely more general than the initial paper of Arora and others. And the other things I would like to mention is that in the proof we use a lot this notion of quotient graph. So quotient graph is an appropriate tool to reason about, in particular, non-strongly connected digraphs. For the perspective, this paper is the first study of self-stabilization of dynamic problems in very general digraph classes. And so, of course, we have to extend this first experience, for example, by considering other problems, in particular dynamic problems such as token circulation, for example. And we also would like to extend our research to asynchronous systems. And finally, an interesting open question is whether the first general necessary condition we give is sufficient when we consider identified networks. Thank you very much.